Hi, welcome to another video from Intelligent Auto channel. Today we have this Fiesta. It's a 2015. Customer complaint is that it loses power while she's driving. She was referred to me by a regular garage to come and identify the fault because they were unsure of what was actually causing it. First of all, scan the vehicle for faults as ever. And this goes to prove how fault codes can be a bit misleading. It's two faults: fuel system leak detected, large leak, and fuel pressure regulator A exceeded control limits, pressure too low. It's all too often I've seen faults like this and vehicles have had fuel pumps fitted, fuel pressure regulators, fuel pressure sensors, blah blah blah. Luckily this young lady had the good sense to bring it here so that we can actually prove the fault before we start changing any parts. So as you can see, I've already set up. I've got a WPS, which is a pressure transducer, fitted in line on the fuel lines. My suspicion is that this vehicle's got a restriction in the fuel system so that the fuel cannot get to the high pressure pump, thus the fuel pressure is dropping. So what I've done is I've disconnected the fuel filter. This is the fuel pipe that comes from the fuel tank. So that's kind of coming through the sight block. Got the WPS pressure sensor connected, teed into the sight block, and then that pipe's going back to the fuel filter. So what we're going to do now is take a measurement of pressure within that fuel line. The fuel supply system on this vehicle is basically suction controlled. So there's not a pump in the tank. The actual injection pump has a lift pump built into it. So as the engine turns, it actually sucks fuel from the fuel tank. So what we should see on the scope trace is a measurement of negative pressure, basically pressure below atmosphere. So let's set the scope away and have a look. There's a scope running. I've got the WPS pressure transducer set on level 2. I've got it set on a scale of 690 millibar. I've got it on a 5-second per division across the screen. So we should see a full capture. I'm now going to start the car. So again, this is the pressure between the fuel tank and the fuel filter. I'll just let it go onto the second screen and I'll pause it. I'm just going to zoom in on this to give you a better look. As you can see, it's not a flat trace. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. Basically what that is, that's the elements in the pump. The pump on this car, I believe, has 3 pistons, so 3 elements. So what you're seeing there, you're seeing each element sucking the fuel. Now if we bring a rule down and we go bang through the middle of that, we've got an average pressure of about minus 52 millibar. So that's minus 52 millibar between the fuel tank and the fuel filter. I'm going to leave that rule in place and then I'm going to move the pressure transducer between the fuel filter and the fuel pump. So I'm going to clip this fuel line to stop any air ingress into the fuel lines. So we don't want to get an airlock in it. Take that off there. Take that off there. Move that out of the way. Empty that pipe so we don't have any spillage. as quick as I can. can, getting that back on there. Let's see, seeing that, not very quick. That's it. And then I'm going to do the same. This is the pipe that goes to the fuel filter, sorry, to the injection pump. So I've got the pipe nip to stop the fuel in the filter running back to the tank. We'll reattach the WPS. And remove the clip. I'm just going to start the car up to get any air out of the fuel lines. What I'll do now is put you back onto the screen so you can see the pressure between the fuel filter and the fuel injection pump. Start the scope again. As you can see, it's back to 0 because I've had the pipes off. So I've left the rule in there, which was the minus 52 millibar, so you'll be able to see the difference either side of the filter. And straight away you can see there's a considerable difference in pressure either side of the filter. What this is proven, that there's a restriction within the fuel filter itself. So that's stabilised. I'll bring a second rule down. Minus 305 millibar. I'm going to give the car a rev, you'll see it drop again. So basically the effect that's having on the fuel pressure is when the car's under load, that pressure is dropping further and further and further, basically starving the injection pump of fuel, which in turn, because there's no fuel flow, will reduce the fuel pressure in the fuel rail. The fuel pressure sensor picks this up. It sees the fuel pressure dropping in the fuel rail. What it's doing is it's winding open the inlet metering valve on the fuel pump at the same time, trying to increase that fuel pressure, and it's failing to do so. Thus, it logs the fault for the large leak, because it doesn't know that it's got a blocked fuel filter. It just knows that the fuel that's available is not being pressurized. This will actually cause the car to cut out because, as I say, it thinks there's a leak. So it's a safety issue as far as the ECU is concerned. So that pressure's dropping and dropping and dropping. And also it logs the fault for the metering valve because it's requested the metering valve open. The fuel pressure, it had no effect on the fuel pressure rising. So again, it can only blame the components that are connected to it. So there's a new fuel filter ordered for this vehicle. When it turns up, what I'll do is I'll take another capture. It's pointless taking the capture between the tank and the filter. I'll take the capture between the filter and the fuel injection pump again, and then we should see the improvements. So here we go, one of my famously crap drawings. That's the fuel filter there. This is the fuel line coming from the fuel tank. The fuel tank's in that direction there. That's the pipe going to the injection pump. The injection pump's in that direction there. As I say, there's no in-tank pump in the fuel tank. So the injection pump, which is here, when it starts to rotate, actually starts sucking the fuel along the fuel lines, gets to the filter, it comes through the filter out the other side and to the injection pump. What I did first was I teed in here with the WPS and took the first reading there, and then second I teed in here with the WPS and took the second reading there. So the second reading was minus 500 millibar, the first one was minus 50 millibar, if I remember right. So proving that there should be little or no resistance across the filter should flow freely. Obviously this one isn't. So as the fuel pump starts to speed up, it wants to draw more and more fuel, and this pressure here starts to go down, which then starves the fuel rail of fuel. And if there's no fuel available, the pump can't pressurize it and the fuel rail starts to drop. I hope that explains it. There's a drain here on the bottom of the filter, but that little black thing around it is just a rubber grommet to locate it. To drain the filter, what you do is you actually turn that, and then that lifts up. It should drain. And this one doesn't, it's probably that clogged. So instead I'm going to turn it upside down and drain it that way. What I don't want is diesel all over me nice, cleanish worktop. So there, she's drained now. As a precaution, I'm still going to let it sit in the top of that jug, I think, in case anything comes out. Take them out. Lift that up so it doesn't drop in the jug. Just separate it. Actually, I need a this one doesn't want to come apart. There she goes. Nothing really to see inside the filter housing. I would have to cut the filter open. I might just do that actually and have a look at it. Turn that over and make sure it's drained. Yeah, so there's drain here. As I said before, what you do, you turn that. That's it, and you pull it. Wouldn't pull. Make sure that's back in place before you fit the new filter. As you can see, it's the original Ford filter. This car has done only 45,000 miles, so I'll guarantee that this is probably its original filter. It's never been changed. Interesting enough, see that one there? That was taken off a same filter. That was taken off another Fiesta. It's a Crossland one. You can just see the marking on there, which is a Eurocar Parts Special. That filter had only been fitted for a week, and the car ran like a pig, so it was replaced. So that one was blocked as well. So I'm gonna get my whizzy wheel and cut a window inside this filter, and we'll have a look inside of it. Whizzy wheels ran out of blade. Yeah, I'm going to have to change the blade. And here we go again. I think that kind of speaks for itself. Absolutely filthy. So, there you go. We'll get the new filter fitted. You'll have when new filters arrived. It's just simply a case of top tip to make it easier to get in is actually lift that. So that goes on there. I'll put the screws back in. That's it. So we'll fit it back on the car now. Put it back into its hole, into its housing. Line the bolts up. Put that sensor wire back on. What's a temp sensor? I think it's actually a fuel heater, not a temp sensor. What we're going to do is prime this. So what I want to do is I want to refit that pipe for now. I'm going to put a hand primer between the pipe from the tank and the pipe to the filter to fill the filter up. Make sure you get your hand primer on the right way. On the bulb there's normally an arrow, and just as this is a Bosch system, the metering valve on the fuel pump, when it's at rest, keys off and ignition off, is open, so there's no need for a bleed on top of the filter. We just prime it, and I can hear the air going back to the tank down the returns. Just prime that through. The air's starting to dispel now. See, I can hear it going back to the tank. That's it. No air now, no noise at the tank end. So again, I'll clamp that pipe, stop the fuel running back to the tank as best I can anyway. Unclip this, put that to one side. What we'll do, we'll take a measurement with the WPS again between tank and filter while I've got the fittings on, and see, we'll be able to compare the difference there. So get that back on. range 2 again, and let's take a look at the scope readings. Right, I'm now connected between the injection pump and the fuel filter. Let's see what the pressure's like now. So as you can see, pressure's at 33 millibar. So a damn sight better than the 300 odd millibar I had before. Stop that and zoom in, and we should be able to clearly see nice even pulls from the fuel pump. So I'm going to call that a fix. Right, this car is going to go back to the customer now as a fix. I've given her a conclusive diagnosis. I've given her a long-term fix. I hope this video demonstrates to you how you don't need to change a part to prove that it's faulty. Even if something as simple as a fuel filter, there's a way of testing everything. If you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, can you subscribe to the channel? And most of all, get down in the comments box, leave your views, good, bad or indifferent. It only goes to improve the future videos. Thanks for watching.